Hey, Scott, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review. Going to talk about the 2024 film, The Beekeeper. This was released back in January, and it was one of the movies recently that made us go, well, January's not such a bad month for movies, because there were a couple horror movies that came out that were decent, and this one. It's a $40 million production from Amazon and MGM Studios. It was distributed by Miramax. It's a weird world we live in the 2024. You've got an above-average Jason Statham movie here that I actually enjoyed from beginning to end. I have a few problems with it, and it's not perfect, but I think the biggest thing that works in its favor is you got David Ayer directing it. He burst onto the scene with Denzel Washington's Training Day. Yeah, Academy Award-winning film. And he's directed quite a few other movies that have done pretty well, but nothing up to that. And then this, which came out in January, like I said, with a $40 million budget, which is actually a pretty substantial budget for a Jason Statham movie these days. So if David Ayer, the director, was part of what was good about the movie, Kurt Wimmer, the guy who wrote the script, was the problem. Kurt Wimmer has directed like 3 or 4 movies, right? And he directed at least one. I enjoyed Equilibrium. Ultraviolet was pretty flawed, and he did that new version of Children of the Corn that really didn't need to be made. But he's written so many movies. And in the beginning, he wrote a few that won awards and did very well, but he's also written a lot of really bad movies, which watching this movie and realizing that was the problem was probably the script more than anything. How do you fail repeatedly in Hollywood and still get to make more stuff? There are directors whose movies have lost money time after time, but they still make movies. There are writers who have written movies that have completely failed a lot of times for the script, and they still get to write movies. I don't understand. It's kind of like being a weatherman. You could be wrong about the weather and keep your job. People could write bad movies and write more movies. I don't understand. Now, it's not a terrible movie by any stretch of the imagination. You have a retired school teacher who loses everything through a scam. Jason Statham plays an unknown dude who's been renting some space from her to raise some bees and do some projects and stuff. And it turns out he's got a set of skills, and he's going to avenge her losing all sorts of money, right? And it gets more detailed than that. I don't want to blow. There are only a few surprises in the movie, so a few twists, but the twists are all pretty well done, so I don't want to blow any. You have Jason Statham being Jason Statham in a better Jason Statham vehicle. Movie went on to gross $152 million on a $40 million budget. That's over 3 times. We're probably going to get a sequel, especially since this was an Amazon MGM Studios kind of thing. All the other actors do well in the movie. Emmy Raver Lampman is great. Josh Hutcherson is a guy you want to punch in the face. Felicia Rashad, Jeremy Irons. There's some quality stuff here. Jason Statham helped produce it with the writer and the director. And like I said, you've got a good director on the film. Movie got 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. So all in all, it's not bad. The biggest thing that took me out of it is there's one foe that he has to take on during his almost Terminator-type revenge run. And it's very comic booky. It's very cartoonish, and it stands out from the rest of the movie that's fairly grounded. I mean, it is a bit far-fetched, and, well, where it eventually leads, it gets really far-fetched. But this one scene, which was some great action and well done by the actress who played the character, the whole scene just didn't really, really, really work. Other than that, though, I thought the movie was a lot of fun. You had Jason Statham, almost unstoppable. He only gets hurt a couple of times, but that's what you want in a Jason Statham movie. That's why I've always watched Jason Statham. I love the first 2 Transporter movies. I love some of his other flicks, but he's made a whole bunch of forgettable, almost straight-to-video kind of stuff the last decade or so, and it was nice to see him in a movie that was worthy of his talents, worthy of his acting. They explained his accent pretty early on in the film, which is, they used to do that with Jean-Claude Van Damme, which was funny. Said somebody recognizes something English in his voice, and I was born there, and I guess he was trying to cover up the accent, but they went ahead and, Anyway, I thought this was a perfectly fine waste of time, so to speak. It certainly was almost out of my head when it was over. Again, he's a former beekeeper, which is an ex-special forces person who basically are kind of vigilantes for good. When he retired, they made another one, and he has to go up against that. I thought that was pretty mediocre. They should have saved that for the end, because in the end, one of the big bads he fights is basically a team of generic Australian bad guys, and they could have come from any movie. and it's still good. I mean, everything's fine. It just moving some things around a little bit and changing just a little bit. This could have been a great movie. But as it is, it made enough movie to garner a sequel, and I hope we get one. It was actually entertaining. I honestly wasn't really into watching a movie last night, and I was flipping around to see what was new on Amazon and what was new on some of my other services, and this popped up, and it's been up there for a while, and I forgot about it, and I'm like, oh, it's on Amazon Prime. I'll just watch it. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free. Good 4K, HDR 10 plus. It was really good, actually. There's a lot of stuff with bees and yellow colors, and the color actually popped quite a bit in the film in certain aspects. No Dolby Atmos on the Amazon app that I found. It was fine, Dolby Digital. I got 7.1 in my setup, and it sounded good. I got a good surround sound effects. Dolby Atmos mix would be nice. That's probably what you get on the 4K. This was a movie that I was eventually going to buy 4K, but they never released a steelbook, no kind of special edition, and I don't know, it just kind of, it's another Jason Statham movie. But here it was on Amazon, and you know me, I don't stream a whole lot of stuff, but I streamed it and I watched it from beginning to end. So what does that tell you? It was entertaining. Not the best movie I've ever seen, and certainly not the best Jason Statham movie, but I would like to see this character come back in a Beekeeper 2, and let's do more with it. It could be fun, although it'd be hard to get a bigger bad person, so to speak. They could probably carry on that storyline. Not everybody who's bad dies in the end of the movie, so there are dangling threads that we could continue. But The Beekeeper is available on Amazon Prime. It's not a bad film. It's just, kind of a standard action movie elevated by a good director and Jason Statham doing a good job in his role. Other than that, I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE. The Beekeeper is available now. I hope you have a spectacular day. Thanks for listening to a podcast. If you'd like to support the channel, I have t-shirts and other goodies down below, and have a spectacular day.